Good morning, everybody, and a happy Friday morning. Oh, another one. It's just, I'm telling you, this stuff practically writes itself. All right, we have a lot. Let's jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start with Princess Beatrice. This is expanding. I told you guys already that it was Tech Week, and she spoke with the Wikipedia founder, Jimmy Wales. There was an event, and what she said is, what we need is more community online, spaces for people to come together and discuss and arrive at content decisions and platform rules that feel right for them, and that's how you build trust. Oh, I like that. All right, let's keep going. Next up, we have Secret Weapon Sophie. On June 13th, she went to the grounds of Rochester Cathedral to meet with volunteers of the Paramount Foundation. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what she was wearing on that visit. Let's keep going. Let's move on now to Royal Ascot Day 2. There was a lot of stuff going on. We're going to cover as much of it as possible. So, in the first carriage, you had King Charles, Queen Camilla, the Prince of Wales, and Prince Saud bin Khalid Al Sayed. He was the same guy that was in the carriage with the king on day one. Now, as this carriage was pulling in, people were going, hip, hip, hooray, and they were cheering. It was really cute. The second carriage had the Duke of Gloucester, the Duchess of Gloucester, the Earl of Halifax, and the Countess of Halifax. The third carriage had Mr. William Boyd, Mrs. William Boyd, Mr. Justin Rose, Mrs. Justin Rose. I do not know who the Boyds are. I do not know who the Rose people are. Then you get to carriage number 4, which had the Lady Sarah Chatto. We know who she is. Mr. Daniel Chatto, Mr. Robert Harris, and Mrs. Robert Harris. Okay. So everybody was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Because that's not what originally came out with the carriage, the list of who was in what carriage, what's going on. Now we're going to discuss the issue with the carriage and the riders and what's going on, but that's going to be just a few minutes into the video. We're going to go back in the meantime when they finally got out of the carriages and they walked up to greet the family. I don't know if it was before or after they greeted the family, but there was a line of dignitaries waiting to meet them and shake their hands. Now, of course, when this is over, they go back over to where the family is. Mr. Hunky Dunky is looking extra buff in that outfit, and I couldn't help but notice that he was standing next to his father-in-law, Michael Middleton. Don't they look really nice with those top hats and those suits? And why don't men dress like that all the time? Okay, just saying. All right, so other people were seen there. Now, with the Duchess of Edinburgh was her father, Christopher Rice Jones, I believe is how you say his name. It's wonderful to see him still alive and kicking and enjoying himself at Ascot. Now, these pictures you're looking at actually happened before they got out of the carriage. There's the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, there's Princess Anne, there's Sir Tim Lawrence, and they're smiling and they're waving because what they're doing is waving at the carriages as they go by, just like we saw the other family members doing on Ascot Day 1. This time they're waving at the carriages as they go by. Now, of course, they all stood around socializing, and then it was time to go to the royal box, and a video came out of Anne making her way up. Now, you never see the inside of these buildings, at least I haven't before. You see where it says that at the top? Pretty cool. Thomas Van Strabbensee and his wife Lucy were also seen there, as well as Lady Gabriella Kingston. I'm so happy to see her out and about, and doesn't she look gorgeous in that blue? Ugh. Beautiful woman. I hope life is treating her well. Anyway, here was the problem. As you can see, what was supposed to happen was the Princess of Wales was supposed to be in the second carriage with William, but what ended up happening is she unexpectedly canceled. Now, here's the thing that really irritates me. People had an absolute cow. A lot of other royal channels were like, well, this should never have happened. And then Catherine pulled out. And they knew at Ascot way before. She told them and they didn't change it and blah, blah, blah. Who cares? You know, she didn't suddenly, this statement right here, she suddenly pulled out. That is absolutely incorrect. She apparently did let them know in plenty of time. She's still having to go slow. She said she was going to be going slow. Now, she did show up for Trooping the Color. She did show up the day after that for the Order of the Garter service, but she's having to ease back into the spotlight, and people just need to give her the space to do that. She didn't feel well enough to attend. That's it. That's the end. There's no more questioning. I don't understand why everybody had a cow. I don't get it. All right, so Catherine's mother, Carol Middleton, however, did show up in this absolutely confection of a lace dress. Doesn't she just look gorgeous? Now, walking in, she was there with her daughter-in-law, Alizy. I can't pronounce her last name. James, the brother James, that was his wife from France. She also looked absolutely gorgeous, and I believe we've seen that hat that she's wearing before. I believe it belongs to Carol Middleton. So I love that she went right up to the royal box where she was greeted by William. It's very obvious that William sees her as a mother figure, which is one of the reasons why I think he's such a grounded, well-rounded person. You know what I mean? So yes, Carol Middleton was up, but it also looks like she has a very close, confidential relationship with King Charles. I'm sure King Charles is very grateful to her for helping give stability to William. Otherwise, William would have ended up like Harry. Well, let me rephrase that. William already said he just wanted to make his mother proud, but when you have a good mother-in-law like Carol, it's easy to do. You guys know what I'm saying. All right, the race started, and if you look at Carol's face, she obviously is a big race enthusiast. I don't know if her horse won here or what was going on, but she was getting all excited. I love it. Now, of course, pictures came out also from the royal box of Mike and Zara looking all loved up and gorgeous. And then pictures, of course, of Mike, Zara, Lucy von Strabensee, Elise, and Carol Middleton. Everybody was up in the royal box having a great time. For those of you who don't recognize the von Strabensees, first of all, the wife Lucy is a former teacher at one of George and Charlotte's schools they used to attend, but her husband Thomas is a close friend of William's. He's godfather to Princess Charlotte, and there were times when William and Catherine were dating that he would sit by Catherine and, talk to her and give her somebody to, talk to and socialize with while they were waiting for William to finish up whatever it was that William was doing at the time. Now, as these next pictures go by, there's only one thing I want to point out, and I said it in yesterday's video as well. When you look at these pictures, what you realize is that this is a family. As much as other people say it's just an institution and it's this, no, this is a family. And I think this is what Harry is missing, is realizing that it was a family. And while he had some issues, he probably shouldn't have left the family. And that's the truth of it. So now the other pictures that came that I wanted to look at were of Charles and Camilla, because when I look at these two, what I see in the pictures is that they have been together for 20 years and they're just as much in love now as they have been since the day they got married. Oh, they look very happy together, and I'm happy for them. All right, now also up in the royal box was the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester. I just love her because she's just so, she's just so elegant. Anyway, she attended the trophy presentation. She was one of the ones that was, helping to give out the trophies at the end. I just love her. And I love that hat. Now, Prince William was also seen handing out the trophy to British jockey William Buick, who was riding a horse named Ombudsman, and he won the Prince of Wales Stakes. All right, we're moving on to Harry and Meghan, but first, here you go. So the royal family is out and about multiple days in a row. So even though this is only 2025 and Birmingham is supposedly 2027, Harry decides this is a good time to announce the contenders for 2029. They claim that things have been submitted from 6 different areas. Are you ready? Denmark, Italy, Nigeria, the Republic of Korea, Ukraine, and of course San Diego. Well, I think we all know which one is going to get chosen. I believe we all know it's going to be Nigeria. Remember, Harry and Meghan went to Nigeria, where Harry was made to look like an idiot, walking behind Meghan the whole time while he basically held her purse. Don't forget they broke ground on the Armed Forces Invictus Center there while he was there. And it would be a sporting event, but a powerful platform, they said, aimed at transforming people of disability in Nigeria and across Africa. Seeing as what's going on with Centabale, seeing what's going on with African parks, seeing as what's going on with Harry's World, I have a feeling they're going to choose Nigeria. But I just don't understand. Well, I do understand, but it makes no sense to make this announcement now when you haven't even held the 2027 ones yet. Remember, they rolled out the red carpet for these two. They made Meghan a Nigerian princess. They're going to want some bang for their buck after all the money they spent on these two. My opinion. All right, next up, Invictus announced that Gettr is going to renew their partnership with Invictus Games. Remember, these are not licensed therapists. Please remember, these are life coaches. This is something that you can get with a 6-month program off the internet. They simply help you organize your life. And there's definitely a kickback for Harry. Let's go back to that podcast that's, Meghan's being skewed about. Remember, she talked about Netflix has so much control and power over her as ever brand. It seems to me that if anything goes wrong, she's going to blame it on Netflix because according to her, Netflix has an entire team devoted with over 80 staff members, and her own team is small and mighty but made up of savvy women. And while it seems right, they're saying that Netflix has a lot of staff, the fact their team is as ever is significantly larger than Meghan's own office team suggests that they hold more of a driving force. But this just like with Spotify, it's just like with everybody else. If it goes down the toilet, she'll blame Netflix. Keep in mind also, as I told you yesterday, Meghan now has made friends with everybody. She's counting on that friendship to keep the deals going. Now, in talking about that podcast, there's a few things that I want to point out that I might have missed pointing out to you yesterday. First of all, for those of you who don't know it, Meghan used the word authentic or authenticity 25 times in that interview. Now, online, somebody said this. I wish I could remember who, but you'll find this interesting. It was a lot of psychobabble. They said, why don't I come here today and tell you about my toothbrushing experience? You know, how I respect the toothbrush and how I throw energy into the brushing process and how when I squeeze the tube, I connect with life and I sort of get this feeling of goodness coming out of it. And that's what you end up thinking at the end of this stuff, that it's just a lot of psychobabble. Another thing, I told you yesterday how when she was in the royal family, she was giving all these speeches. But do you know that this year alone, 2025, she gave an interview to People magazine back in January. Then recently she had the interview with Jamie Kern-Lima. Then we had this interview, not to mention we have the With Love Meghan show and we had her podcast. So yet she's still running around saying that she's had her voice taken from her. And the other thing that I may not have made clear yesterday was about her employees, because what she does is she sacks people, then she gets new people for these new projects. She can't keep people in. She's always changing direction. It has to be very difficult to work for her because they can't navigate. And then the moment something goes wrong, she blames somebody else, chucks them out, and gets a new person in, and so it goes. So She just can't keep staff, and she always blames other people every time something goes wrong. There's always somebody else to blame, and things have gone wrong this year. There's been a lot of PR disasters that have happened this year. So you would think at this point she would start looking at herself, but yeah, her entire life is built on the blame game and this victimhood that they perpetuate. They put it on their family, they put it on their staff. Their staff has a revolving door. And I've told you before, I've reported to you before that they have very qualified people who worked in very high pressure environments, and yet they can't seem to be able to hold on to anybody with Meghan. And with that, an article came out saying that there's a truth, but it's not the kind of truth that Meghan would want the world to know, because after all, Meghan's truth is far from the truth of what happened actually in the palace. Now, when Meghan said that, I wish people would just tell the truth, it was just like what happened on Oprah, where an unnamed person made some comments. This is exactly the same thing. She's making these incendiary comments that are hitting headlines, and it's damaging the royal family, but she's not saying who said what or what the lie is, or she never comes out and gives any information. Remember, Meghan said she could not be expected to stay silent if the firm was playing a part in perpetuating falsehoods about her and Harry. And don't forget, you guys, it was Harry at that point who said that Meghan was being treated with racism, the victim of media racism, and it was the royal family prejudiced, and then he turned around and denied he ever said any of it several years later. But it looks to me like Harry and Meghan are wanting to go down that road again. They don't have anything else to talk about because the family cut them off. So now she's pulling all of the same crap out because there's nothing left for her to complain about. So the question is, since she's now in her chapter of joy and she's able to be her authentic self and she's not in the prove it stage, why is she so worried about a running score? Because it's pretty obvious that she is. And Meghan might do well to remember that if she digs too deep into her royal experience, other things might come to the surface that had been previously held back. She may want to keep that in mind. Okay, I just find this hilarious. Do you guys remember when South Park in February of 2023 came out and did this depiction of Harry and Meghan of the worldwide privacy tour? You guys remember that? It ridiculed Harry and Meghan's demand for privacy while they're on a publicity blitz for the Princess autobiography, Wah, which was a dig at the Spare. And they had banners, respect our privacy. Well, now people are hoping, they're saying, for another installment, poking fun at them, citing the delivery ward twerking video, which Meghan put up. They're saying it's perfect reference material for the creators. It wasn't long after that came out that Harry and Meghan started making friends with Paramount Pictures CEO Brian Robbins and his wife Tracy James. Remember, Tracy is one of the ones that plays this game. We saw her in the Netflix series As Ever. She's a good friend, supposedly, of Meghan's. And I'm wondering if they didn't make friends, if Harry and Meghan didn't make friends with them to keep another South Park episode from coming out. Remember, anytime Meghan makes friends with anybody, there's always a motive behind it. Now, if the Netflix contract gets canceled, I think she's hoping that Paramount will pick up the contract and do work with them. In the meantime, all of her friends are multimillionaires or billionaires. She no longer hangs out with just, the riffraff. Anyway, when this show came out, word is Meghan didn't watch it. She was upset and overwhelmed, but yet they claim she didn't watch it. Bull crap. She watches everything. And also there were some rumors that they were going to sue the cartoon's creator, but no, that never happened. They were watching for more attacks, and when there weren't any more attacks, they let it drop. But yeah, I would love to see another one. Oh my goodness. All right, put those comments down. I'm looking for them. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the links to my Twitter, Gettr, Rumble, email, a link to my second channel, a link to my father's book, which is still for sale on Amazon, and a physical address, as well as a link to my Amazon wish list. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.